Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley is the first major competitor to officially challenge former President Trump in the 2024 Republican primary. Many know her name and her resume, but as a candidate now, people are asking for more specifics about her policies and plans. Joining me now, former South Carolina Governor and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. Welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thanks so much, Shannon.
All right, how would President Haley be handling President Xi right now?
Not the way President Biden is handling it. I'll tell you that. You know, there's nothing wrong with talking to China. The problem is it's what we say to them. China continues to say that this is a weather balloon. We know that's not the case. The idea that Americans would look to the sky and see a Chinese spy balloon looking back at us is unacceptable. I mean, they invaded our sovereignty. It never should have happened, and we have to say that. But they're lying about the balloon the same way they've lied about COVID. And it's time for us to stop being reactionary to China and start actually being aggressive and letting China know what we expect of them.
You know, it's interesting. This morning, I noted that the New York Times has a piece says Haley walks treacherous road for GOP women. You're talking about being tough. And they have this line about saying conservative voters harbor traditional views about femininity, but expect their candidates to be tough, and say it's a fine line for you as a woman to walk with a conservative voter. What do you make of that?
I don't. You know, I think that people spend too much time deciding how women should handle something or what they should do or glass ceilings or anything like that. I think, look, to put yourself out there to run for president means that you have a vision for where we should go in the country. I see some things that are terribly wrong. I think we need new leadership. And I think American families are struggling. And I am trying to lay that vision out. And I think that a lot of people are going to analyze what my run means and what we'll do about it. You know, at the end of the day, we just came from New Hampshire. We had packed crowds, overflow rooms of families saying their groceries cost too much. The fact that they are seeing their children's education, they've fallen so far behind, they don't know how they're going to make it back. Mothers who can't find baby formula. And then you've got these spy balloons flying over. So there's a lot of heavy issues that American families are thinking about. But, you know, how somebody wins is not one of them.
Okay, so I want to put up something from the Wall Street Journal this week. They said you had a great day, your great rollout day, but they said you have to provide a rationale for your candidacy that you haven't done yet. They said you've got to answer this question about why you versus anybody else in the GOP field. You know, they're talking about the fact that you say, you know, America first, America should be powerful. Those are things that any GOP candidate is going to say. So why you?
Why not me? You know, I am the wife of a combat veteran. I'm a mother of 2 children, one who's getting married, and I see how hard it is for her to look at buying a home. One that's in college, and I see what he's dealing with woke education. You know, I'm the daughter of immigrant parents who are upset by what's happening at the border. I don't want to wait for someone else to fix this. I want to make sure we get in there and fix this. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an accountant. I've never worked in D.C., and I think it's time that we start putting a fire under what's happening in Congress. I think we need term limits. I think we need mental competency tests for people over the age of 75, and I think we need far more transparency than we're seeing today. And what I do strongly believe is the American people need options. I don't think you have to be 80 years old to be in Washington, D.C., and I think it's time for us to start getting aggressive, getting back to what it means to end socialism in this country and end the defeatism that has taken over us the past few years.
Okay, I want to talk about your critics, give you a chance to respond. Here's one who thinks you're not MAGA enough. This is from Townhallcom. She cares what the establishment thinks. She cares what the regime media thinks. And she thinks what you and I, the conservative base, think is scary and frightening. But she'll pretend to be down with it if that is what it takes to win. Your response?
I've never said conservatism is scary and frightening. I am a conservative. I've been a conservative all my life. I came in as governor through the Tea Party. I care what Americans think. I don't care what certain segments think. I think that's the problem. Shannon, we've lost the last 7 out of 8 popular votes for president. That means Republicans are doing something wrong. We have to start focusing on winning the majority of Americans because our solutions are right. We focus on lifting up everybody, not just a select few. So I'm not going to pay attention to a certain segment of the population. I am a conservative. I'm going to fight with conservative solutions, and I'm going to try and win as many people as I can.
Okay, you've talked about a competency test for people over 75. That obviously includes the current president and the former president, who is the only other GOP contender in right now. You've been asked numerous times, including by my colleague Sean Hannity, how you're different than President Trump on policy, on issues. Clearly, you think you're a better option than he is, or you wouldn't have gotten into the race. So where do you two differ?
I don't focus on President Trump, and it's amazing that the media wants to talk about that so much.
But you will have to get through the GOP primary. You will have to focus on him and Governor DeSantis or anybody else who gets in. To get to President Trump, you will have to get through that field.
My announcement was to a few thousand people in South Carolina. I just had packed rooms in New Hampshire. Not one person asked me about President Trump. Everybody wanted to talk about Biden. Everybody wanted to talk about the problems facing American families. I am focused on Joe Biden. He's the one that's the president. You know, I will tell you, I think Americans need to have options. I think they need a new generation. I think we need new energy going in. I think we need to leave the status quo of the past and start looking ahead. And that's what I'm going to do. And as much as people want to talk about other opponents, there will be more. Many of them are my friends. My focus is on American families, how they're struggling, and what we're going to do to make sure that we get this country back.
All right. One of those things you would have to deal with as president is the debt ceiling. The White House now saying they will not negotiate. They want a clean vote. They say Republicans did that multiple times in the past, and that is true. How would President Haley handle the situation? Because if you win, you're probably going to hit the debt ceiling again.
Well, I think we've got $31 trillion in debt, and our children will never forgive us for it. First, we have to stop the spending binge. We've got to put Washington, D.C. on a diet. They can't continue to spend this way. We are borrowing money just to make our interest payments. We've got to work on a way to actually pay down this debt. 15% of the federal budget is interest. We need to stop borrowing. We need to look at the fact that inflation is coming from the supply chain. We need to start building things in America so that we're not worried about that. And we need to open up our energy sector so that that can start to work. There is an issue of entitlement, and I think that we do have to address entitlements. However, I don't think we take away from anyone that we've promised things to. I think we focus on the new generation coming into the system because they already know they're not going to get anything from it. And we need to get in front of that. And that means you go and you look at the new ones coming in and you keep your promises to those that have already been in the system.
I want to talk to you about somebody who may also get into the race. Senator Tim Scott, you appointed him to fill a vacancy to become a senator. He's a fellow South Carolinian. How does he impact the race?
You know, I appointed him to the Senate in South Carolina because I knew he would do a good job, and he has done a good job. And he is a friend, and he has a decision to make. And if he decides to get in, that's fine. If he doesn't, that's fine. Again, I'm very focused on what I need to do. We will have multiple people get in the race. Most of them are my friends, but my focus is on Joe Biden and the American families.
Okay, critics say that you and Senator Scott are basically props for the GOP on this issue of race. I want to read an opinion piece from the Washington Post. It says, they seem committed to a version of history that sanitizes the past, not to mention the GOP's racial politics, and makes us all participants in a tale of triumphant reconciliation. How do you respond to that author?
I have always made liberals' heads explode, and the reason is they can't stand a minority female conservative not being a Democrat. And what I will tell you is the reason that bothers them is they know I bring in independents. They know I pull in suburban women and minorities. But it's more than that. You know, they don't understand the fact that, look, when I ran for governor, they did the same thing. They said I wasn't a minority, I was just a conservative with a tan. These threats are going to continue to happen, but I know conservative policies are the right ones because we focus on lifting up all families, not a select few, and we're going to double down on that. And I think that more people are with us. I think that not only are Republicans with us, I think you can look at the fact that we need school choice in this country, and you'll see independents and Democrats are with us too because parents want to know that they will have control over their children's education, not government.
Yeah, and parents have been driving forces as voters in many of the recent elections of great import. Governor Haley, thank you so much. We will see you out there on the campaign trail.
Thanks so much. We're headed to Iowa.
See you there.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.